Hello and welcome back and to the channel. I know that those of you who have seen the part 1 or the original live of this topic, you might have found that it ended abruptly, and that was because we faced an internet outrage and thereafter the recording did not take place. So there were a few of you who had requested me to take the remaining portion once again, and which is why I'm here back to take the remaining portion from where we stopped in the last session. So let's begin. We were looking at the diagrams, right? So when it comes to the diagrams, I was telling you that the good idea or the best practice that I have followed in my own school days, or even during my college and in the university, was to draw these diagrams by my own hand on at least an A4, minimum an A4 size. It could even go to A3 or A2 depending on the size that you can draw and the content that is associated with the diagram. So do it on a white paper, not on a dark background, because we are not looking at creativity here, but we are looking at something which is very easy to see. So draw it on a white paper, label the parts, do not overlap the labels, and with the labels write a small description about it. Now drawing these diagrams here like this is not for your exams. During the exams, we can always draw a simpler version of the diagram and label just the parts required and write about what has been asked or inquired in the question. You can write that in the answers. But this is what I'm talking about is how you actually learn to remember the diagram and the associated material along with it. So along with the label, write a little bit about the part, maybe its functions or its characteristics or whatever other points that you have. And then once the diagram is over, stick it on a visible place. So every time you walk across, maybe it could be a wall, or it could be near your mirror, or it could be at near the study table where you study, so that you are able to see it often. The more often you see, the better you will remember, and it will just stick to your mind. So I have shown one diagram of external portion of the heart here, and though this example is not from biology, but you can very clearly see that if the planets are labeled this way with the meaning of the labels and the content next to it, versus there is the names of the planets along with the picture and the content written together, I'm sure this is easier to see, easier to understand and remember, right? So this is exactly what I'm trying to explain and asking you to practice. Another example you can see is of the brain, where we have the different lobes colored differently and the functions mentioned. Say for example, temporal lobe, its functions is auditory processing, memory and balance, and then just keep a small two-liner next to it. So whenever you walk across that place and you see the diagram, you are revising the whole topic by itself. This is an example for the digestive system where the functions parts are labeled and their functions are mentioned. Yeah. The next one. This is one of the major reasons why students avoid biology, because they find it difficult to remember biological terms. But trust me, it's all about understanding. Most biological terms have a prefix or a suffix, and these prefixes and suffixes have meanings. So wherever they apply, the meaning also applies. So for example, poly means many. So whenever there is polysepalous, polypetalous, polygamy, which means there are many sepals, many petals, and many types of marriage or many marriages. Hypo means either under or less. So when it is hypogeal, it's under the ground. If it's hypodermic, under the skin. If it is hypotonic, that means it is less or low in the solute content. And hypothermic means it is low in temperature. Amphi means all kinds. So amphibious, we know, an organism like frog which can live both in water and on soil. So amphibious. Amphibolism is a type of a reaction which contains both anabolism and catabolism together. Now these are prefixes. Similarly, you have some suffixes also. For example, ectomy. Ectomy means removal. Vasectomy is removal of the vas deferens. It's a type of male contraception. Prevention of, not contraception, but prevention of pregnancy through controlling the reach out of the sperm into the uterus, into the vagina. And then, so vasectomy prevents that because we are cutting off the vas deferens or we are tying it up. Then appendectomy is like cutting the appendix operation, what we normally have, the appendix operation. So removal of the appendix. Similarly, ostomy is cutting or making incision. Like nephrostomy is on the kidney, tympanostomy is on the ear tubes. Right? Let's see some other ways as well. Now, biological terms also have, the term itself would have a meaning. So many times we find it difficult to remember because we do not understand the meaning, since these are generally in Latin or Greek. But if you can understand the meaning, it will be very easy for you to remember. For example, the word bios means life. So biosphere means the area where there is life. Amphibious means something which can live in all the different types of bios or different types of biospheres. Biology, study of life. Abiotic, without life or without oxygen. Okay, then alba. Alba means white or bright. So when it comes to albinism, it's like the white patches on the skin, right? Materia alba. So wherever the word alba is, alba means white. Similarly, the word rubra means red. So Morus rubra, that is red mulberry, as against Morus alba, which is white mulberry. So you can see alba, when it comes, it's white mulberry. Rubra, when it comes, is red mulberry. Ixora rubra. Ixora is a flower which the red variety, or the species which has red flowers is known as Ixora rubra. Right. Third thing, many of these biological terms have some stories behind them. So if you know these stories, that will also help you remember. For example, the word malaria. Malaria comes from an Italian word mal-aria, which means bad air. So in the olden days, it was believed that it is the humid and stale air which is found in swamps and marshes which causes malaria. Though it's true that malaria happens more in the marshy areas, but it's not because of the bad air, but because of the mosquitoes, which at that time people did not know. So they knew it as the bad air from the marshes which is causing the disease, and that's how the name malaria came up. Right? Okay. Then there is another very strong way of remembering, that is called recollection. The more you recollect, the more number of times you read the chapter again and again, it actually strengthens the neural connections that are built because you are revisiting the same pathway again and again in the mind. Then they say use it or lose it. So when you hear something, you only retain 5% of it, right? When you read something, it's about 10%. When you see it in a multimedia, it is 20%. When it is demonstrated to you, you retain 30%. When you discuss it, you retain 50%. When you practice it in reality, you retain about 75%. And the best way, as I earlier also told you, is when you teach, you remember 90% of the content, right? Okay. The next other way is through the sources, other sources. So the same material, if you read it or if you see it or if you look at it from other sources, you keep refreshing it in different ways, different language, different way of expressing the same content. So if something was not clear in the previous one, maybe in this material you will find it getting clear in the mind. So other sources could be books, it could be somebody else's answer sheet, it could be a YouTube video, it could be Googling it out, or it could be going to the library, it could be anything. Yeah. And it also helps you to get some additional points which you can add in your answers and score some extra marks. Right. Then there's another important way is whenever you come across a practical situation, just go back and recollect, either try to remember or go back to the topic in your book and flip through the topic and then look at the content, and do it every single time you come across a situation. For example, DHA. You find DHA in Complan, in the box of Complan, and it's written so many times. But do you just see it and you ignore it, or do you try to see what is the expansion of DHA? What does DHA stand for? It stands for dehydroascorbic acid, which is one of the 39 vital nutrients which are present in Complan, and this actually helps in mental alertness and development of the brain. So whenever you see a Complan box and you see this word DHA, just go back and remember read the expansion, read why it is required. So then you don't really have to memorize this, it will automatically get into your mind. Similarly, the PUFA. PUFA is again a term which you will find in many of the cooking oils, because it stands for polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are the good fatty acids or the healthy fats which help us to protect our health. So whenever you come across these things, go back and refer. Another example could be when you see somebody vomiting. Maybe, of course, you go help the person clean up and all of that, help the person recover, give him some water. All those things are fine. That's the humanitarian part of it and the medical part of it. But coming to your biology remembering thing, if whenever you see vomiting, try to remember what is the scientific or the biological term for vomiting. That is antiperistalsis. So the technical biological term. So whenever you come across these practical situations, just try to recollect the term. So it will automatically get embedded into your mind. Trust me. Yeah. So that's all that I had to share. And if there are any questions that you would like to, ask, you can please ask me now, and I'll be happy to clear your doubts. Yeah. What's that? Okay, so you're asking what is catabolism. So catabolism is basically a reaction which involves in the breakdown of the complex substances into simpler ones. As against it, there is anabolism, which is actually a set of metabolic reactions where a complex molecule is built up from the smaller molecules. So when both of these two happen together, then it is known as amphibolism. Yeah. Are there any other questions? I don't see any more, nothing else coming up in the chat. So I think with that, I will close the session today. I request you to go and have a look at the other videos also in the channel. You will find them really useful. Lot of tips, lot of practical suggestions, lot of productivity tools are there in those videos. You will get your concepts cleared as well. And if you wish to join, you can also join my WhatsApp group where I give free consultation. So for which you can contact me over my mobile number or my email ID. You will find it in the description of my channel. So see you there. See you in the next session. And bye for now. Good night. Thank you so much for having the patience to come back again, despite the sudden disruption that we had in our previous session. Wish you all the best. Thank you so much. Good night.